they've got the flexibility with a bat to maybe run it mid if they wanted to as well. We have seen that a couple of times. I think if you really want to just match that DK up, you have a bit of a tool here. CDEC doesn't have last pick though, so there's not much they can really pull as a surprise now, because more than likely that Newbee is expecting this for the offlane, which means they're still looking for that mid matchup. There's nothing sly CDEC could do with draft order, fortunately.
They're going to take their time with this fourth pick. Still need a mid, and unless it's the DK, we still need a safe lane. I do believe it is going to just be a pos 4 Pango. I don't think we're going to play around with that too much. Like, Wizard was having a good old time on the Pangolier. You know, he was playing it quite well, but it just didn't have enough influence as an offlane hero. They do opt to use a lot of time.
We could maybe see something to purge off the Batrider. The Abaddon could come out, although I'm not sure how that slots into this draft. It could be... I mean, you could run it in the off, I suppose, if you wanted to, the Abaddon, with the DK down mid, Pangolier on support. That's an option for him. They go to Shaker. So you've got this big team fight utility now from Newbee. You've got ways to trap in CDC and maybe punish big snowball saves from the Tusk. So you've got all those tools available now. Doesn't really combine too well with a Grimstroke, I have to say. It's not... In fact, none of these heroes really work off with that Soulbind. It's really down for that control. I think it's still pretty potent. You will have to worry about the Batrider. Just always keep an eye on the Bat, because this does make the Shaker a prime target for instantaneous burst from CDEC.
But that should lock in the offlane Pango again. It's not such a bad thing. It's just... I don't know. It makes the draft look a bit weak, does it not? Like, you've got plenty of team fight potential. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, it's... Again, there's no direct synergy with this draft. That's my biggest issue. Like, none of them particularly slot into each other quite well. It's just kind of there. Like, you can make it work. But the Troll does come out for CDEC. Oracle's there. Troll is still in the pool, of course. They pick it up. And you mentioned the Dragonite being an issue. I don't think it's going to matter, because the Troll is going to live long enough. All the HP in the world won't help you from the roots coming out from the Troll and just the raw damage coming in. So eventually you will burn out and die.
That's true. It seems like it's going to be pretty important, though, for this Troll to pick up a BKB before you really start seeing some big team fights out of him. You've got so much disable potential from Newbee. Like, Earthshaker can just perma-stun you, the Grimstroke, the Pangolier can disarm you, DK has a decent stun. Seems like it's going to be fairly important for that BKB to be up. CDEC, they won't...
Ooh.
Really? Okay, Venomancer comes out. A lot of magic damage, but this hero really hasn't looked good in the meta for a long time. Tell me, John, is it good?
I kind of like it here.
You like it?
I like it here mainly because Dragonite is one factor you really want to put down. You've got a nice way of keeping that Shaker from blinking. So as long as you keep planting aggressive venomous wards in front, it's going to be hard for the Shaker to find that position with a blink later down the line. Newbee doesn't really have the fastest ways of eating through those wards early on, so CDEC can kind of apply pressure with that. Or if the Venomancer does go for more of the right-click damage early on, of course, it's just going to be making it a lot more painful. Although the Gyrocopter can eat through those wards fairly nicely, it's now equally as important for Newbee to find that BKB. You mentioned Ame needing the BKB on the Troll to stop that control. Newbee will need the BKB on Mugi to prevent him from dying straight up from all this magic damage that CDC has. So that's something to watch out for. BKB timing is going to be key for both sides. And the Gyrocopter does give you that good team fight with this lineup, but again, it's not quite the most confidence-inspiring closer here, although I suppose it is more consistent than Venomancer. So there is that for Newbee.
Overall, I'm looking at both these drafts and I really don't know who looks stronger because I don't know what to expect from this Venomancer. Who do you think looks better with these drafts?
I'd want to say CDC, mainly because they've got the Oracle Troll. That's pretty potent. I feel like the Venomancer should be able to find what it wants. You will have to be very cautious about Mugi. I think he's going to be the major factor in like burning through that Veno early on, and you have to watch for the rotations from Newbee. If they do commit YC for the rotations, there's not much a Venomancer can do there unless they dive really deep in your towers, but it's going to be a very vulnerable targets to those rotations unless CDC is willing to toss their own support. So I think Newbie has to play their draft aggressively. They've got to keep a lid on that Venom. Watch the jungle is the key thing because he can dip into the jungle with wards and suddenly get out of there with all the items he wants. You don't want that happening. At the same time, Newbie needs to get a little bit of space for Mugi. And if they can get that done, I think you're going to be ruining with a lot of what CDC wants out of this draft.
It'll be a very interesting game to say the least. It just feels so weird seeing XM going from such a standard core pick like a TA and performing so well to now being on a Venomancer. I'm not going to go ahead and say it's bad or anything because it's like we don't see it enough to know, but it just kind of weirds me out. Like TA to Veno, what a range of heroes that XM has.
Yeah, it's a bit of a swing. It definitely is a shakeup on the pace, although I think the farming pattern for both heroes actually kind of stay the same. Venomancer dips into the jungle, takes stacks, comes back out. The issue is he's not a very mobile hero. So the Venomancer farms like the TA, but focuses on objectives after a certain point. You want to either take team fights, but not jump in front. You're not going to be bursting people in front. You just kind of take it slow, pressure with your DOTs, and make use of that time where Newbie won't have BKBs. The moment they get early BKBs, you're gonna have a hard time maximizing this Venomancer, which is one of the things with Venom, right? Pretty much countered out by any decent sort of pace in the farm. And you might argue, yeah, early BKBs can lose out in effectiveness. Well, it doesn't really matter as long as you find those kills and control the map. Like, even if you end up with 5-second BKBs, as long as the entire map shut out, CDEC can't really do much about that.
How does this AQ DK go up against the Veno? Like, is this an XM favorite matchup?
Yeah, straight up, it should
Yeah.
be, no matter what he goes for. Whether or not he goes for Plague Wards or the Venomous Gale, it's just not a good time for a DK. The range advantage is there. He can toy around with Breathe Fire, there's decent range in that. But even if they draw even, XM can just dip into the jungle, so he will find additional farm in that sense. And the DK does not do that as fast, so that's something the Venomancer does have up its sleeve in terms of at least early farm here.
We have a casual pause as we wait for our Oracle, Victoria, just to come back up.
You know, I do like this laning combination from CDEC. I think the Tusk and the Batrider is super potent. We've seen that in play a couple of times. You get the tag team off. You get maybe even level 1 with enough napalm stacks. That just amplifies so much damage coming out from SRF and makes it really hard to kind of contest. So a lot of potency with just that kind of combination here. And of course, you're going to have Victoria around, at least for level 1, while they try to find First Blood. And you do have good control here. So the earlier laning phase is looking a bit stronger for CDEC. You have to respect the potential of Newbee. You know, Shakers with a good Fisher can cause a lot of issues, but it's not particularly straightforward for Newbee to really apply harassment in the lanes. That's a lot of GGs, guys.
I don't know if the side of Newbie is scared of what's gonna come or if they're happy about this draft. It's a lot of magic damage. Side of CDEC.
Yeah,
Like this AQ might have a really bad game.
Yeah, it's not straightforward for him. Like, even if he gets the blink, in fact, even if you get the blinks on the Shaker, the Pango, and the Dragonite, Venomancer, just with how much you spam out those Plague Wards, makes it very hard to kind of close the gap sometimes. So that's something they have to be continuously aware of. Newbee will have to make use of their smokes really well. I think that's going to be important. That was something that was missing in game 1 as well. They kind of waited around when they had their level 6 ults on their supports. You want them to be able to apply that pressure much earlier on here, while the troll is kind of weak, while you don't have the veil on the Venmancer. I think that is going to be pretty scary once the veil is up. Just way too much damage. You'd want a fast pipe in response, but I don't know if you are. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Just the pipe. It will mitigate it, but
Who's the
you've got the
pipe carrier,
Batrider
though?
damage as well.
Like, yo,
It's
like I know, like the Pangos can go pipe, no problem, right? But it's
yeah,
not exactly the best.
no,
Like, it's not exactly what they want, and
no.
it did get an increase in price recently as well, which makes it a bit more annoying to go for if you're something like a Pangolier who doesn't already naturally get one.
Yeah. I think it has to be the Pango, though. Like, there's no way in two ways around it. He's gonna have to get the pipe for the team if they feel like it's a threat. I mean, we have seen a lot of games where you'd expect like a pipe, you'd expect like a Spirit Vessel in other teams, but they tend to ignore it. So let's see whether or not Newbee pays that Venmancer its dues, or if they figure it's pretty much a non-factor. Because again, we haven't seen too much of the Veno. I think for the most part, we've last seen it in like Southeast Asia months ago, and that was pretty mixed. So let's see how they do run it here.
Bot lane could be a lot of action. 4 heroes down here from Newbee, but SRF did scout it out with the sticky napalm. And homing missile will actually be taken out by SRF, so plus 50 gold. That's a good way to start. One last hit already for the Batrider. You gotta love that.
Oh yeah, just a slight boost in gold, and you do kind of force Mugi to go for that level 1 homing missile, which means that you don't really have to worry about early rocket barrage. You see Ame just forcing YC all the way back here. He's playing tag here just a bit.
They've gone too far. Fisher block is gonna be there. Wizard gonna follow up. Doesn't have anything like an Orb of Venom though. He's just gonna swashbuckle and maybe go for some body blocks, but Ame gonna be fine. SRF meanwhile giving a tip over to Faith. I'm not sure why, but what was that? Oh, he probably denied the bounty off. Okay, so it was a 2-for-1 trade in the end. No, he didn't deny the bounty off. It was a 2-for-2 trade.
Yeah, just showing some respect, I guess. Just a tip,
Yeah.
just for the sake of it. Kind of surprising that CDEC is not running that aggressive tri-lane first, so they do rotate out Victoria. They're not going to try to go for that first blood attempt, which means that there should be a little bit more breathing room here for Mugi to try to find that initial farm.
This is a very ugly lane for this poor Gyrocopter though. He's already got a kind of a bad turn rate as it is. Faith's going to have to work really hard on this Gyrocopter to make sure he has a good time.
Yeah, it's just 4 stacks and Mugi, they just can't follow up, unfortunately. But it would have been nice to get a couple of right-click damages on, but still. Lane should be pretty tough initially. I think once you hit level 3 on Mugi, that's when you can start to breathe a bit easier.
Mid lane, XM. You got to really wait for those levels before you start to see this Venomancer forcing the DK out at all. Top lane, however, Ame going to be in trouble, but Fortune's End will stop the side of Newbee from chasing, and Ame does manage to barely survive thanks to Victoria, and Victoria will even give him a salve for his trouble.
Yeah, it's good amount of pressure onto Ame. I think he's struggling just as much as that Gyrocopter is, so pretty evened out here in terms of making these pos ones suffer so far from both teams.
At what stage do you think XM like wins this mid lane out? Like he's maxing out Poison Sting, which is fair enough. At what point do you think AQ says, okay, I can't sustain this much damage anymore?
I think fairly soon, maybe level 4 or 5. Does feel like he's probably going to go for a 2-2 build or a 3-2 build into level 6. And as long as you keep landing those guilds, eventually you're going to have a hard time maintaining that laning presence here.
Well, seems like Newbee may agree with your point, because YG rotates through mid. There won't be any kind of Fisher setup. Looks like YG just wants to head over to the bot lane for a little bit. And in fact, that left Wizard by himself, and he TP'd all the way back to the fountain. So now Ame gonna have plenty of free space on this troll to just freely farm up. Can't say the same for Mugi on the gyrocopter, who is still gonna have to go through the struggle of having oil thrown all over him, but what's the point of this Earthshaker rotation? They're going to try and go on to James now. James should die here. Fisher comes out, Inkswell and Homing Missile all there. Nice snowball dodge on all the stuns, however, so he will drag this out quite a bit, but eventually Mugi will rocket barrage him down, and that will be first blood going to the way of Newbee.
It's a good pickup for Newbee. They did invest in a lot of resources for that one. They have given a little bit of space to SRF to find those last hits, and Mugi does miss out on wave. So that's a little bit of farm going away for that first blood, but not too bad. I'm not sure how long sustained is. It looks like they want to maximize that early control you can get with the Fissure, but you can't really keep a Batrider in place like that. Firefly, he could just fly out.
Oh, mate, trying to really keep Wizard out of this top lane. Mid lane, there's going to be some rotations here onto James, who was just trying to secure that illusion rune. He's going to turn around now onto YG and give him some back, and even Victoria going to rotate down now on the Oracle, so they've just left the top lane alone. Perhaps finding it more important to try and shut down this bot lane gyro a little bit. Instead, they may even make a rotation mid. So you do have the tag team, you do have the snowball. And AQ is already very, very low thanks to the Poison Sting and Gale of XM, and he does have another Gale available. Although AQ is still healing through it quite well, it's just you get one extra hero down here, and this AQ DK could die very quickly.
Does look like they have their sights set elsewhere. They are finally running that tri lane from CDEC, so you've got the Oracle and the Tusk trying to find something.
Yeah, Firefly, Fortune's End going to be there on Mugi, but there is help coming in from YG. And this doesn't look like the greatest gank attempt, though. Nice snowball, but the Fisher connects on two as well. James may just die here. He does at least find the Earthshaker, and in fact, they do end up getting the gyrocopter. So Mugi does die to SRF. And it looked really bad for a moment, especially when that Fisher came out, but CDEC eventually do come out on top.
Yeah, it's a much better trade for them. They are applying a good amount of pressure on the gyro. This is costing the supports a lot of TPs, which is freeing up these other lanes. So that mid lane, AQ's not getting the relief he wants. He isn't under any major threat, but XM is really starting to pull ahead. Even though the last hits are fairly even, you can feel that the Venomancer's presence is starting to be a bit annoying for this DK.
You've got that Poison Nova up as well now. And again, it's just one rotation would mean this DK is 100% going to die. Speaking of dying, Wizard is probably going down as well. He does go for a swashbuckle, but Ame had already gotten an auto attack off as he was flying away. And CDEC starting to push their early advantage with this draft. Mid lane, you see Victoria already waiting for his opportunity to try and jump on AQ. AQ being very, very cautious with his own positioning. Does end up ultimately popping the Dragon Form. XM turns around with the Gale, with the Poison Nova. It's going to tick AQ down quite a lot, and, well, Wizard comes in. He needs to deny AQ right now, but the Snowball save, or Snowball secure, will be there from James. And to make matters worse for them, XM found a regen rune.
Yeah, he gets to be refreshed, head back into lane, or find some creeps. While you rotate away Wizard, you've given Ame a free lane up top. Our troll pretty much top of the last hits board from a fairly rough start when they were running that dual lane, but because they're forced to respond so much, you have given Ame a lot of space.
Yeah, he's just freely farming. Mid lane, however, they do find Victoria on the Oracle. Nice pickup from Newbee. They are looking for more. And XM, he's going to show back mid now, so they may as well try to go for this attempt as he's going to have to be very careful with how he positions himself on this Venomancer. But no, he'll stick around the jungle. Thing is with this jungle Veno, like it can be a little bit slow because you didn't really go for the Veno wards. So
Yeah.
it's not the fastest, but you know, with that 7-minute timing, neutral items coming up now, they want to try and get that early advantage as Faith. Going to be chased down by SRF bot lane. They do commit the lasso. They ping out the cliff. Put him on there, boys. Put him on there. Faith will die where nobody can even see him.
It's just slowly but surely CDEC using that early power spike they get quite well. I think what Newbee has to do now is try to figure out whether or not they want to commit. They are giving some space towards Mugi, but they're still clumping up trying to find these kills as well.
Oh, Arcane Rune, it's been found out by the Veno, though they do jump on. Nice snowball save from the Long Thunder, but he rolls into the Rolling Thunder. Fate's Edict going to help out a little bit. There's no poison over. XM should definitely just die. That was a very strong team fight coming out from the side of Newbee. And now even Victoria underneath this tier 2 tower may go down though. Wizard, are you chasing too far? Maybe you are, though he didn't get the Purifying Flames off. Looks like it wouldn't have been enough anyway. Newbee find a 3-for-0 trade, and they are set up for that tier 1 mid push.
Yeah, they do manage to win out in those trades in the end. I'm sure Newbee is very happy with that. They are making use of this dragon form to its max potential, but they've lost their tier 1 up top, and you actually see Ame start rotating now as well.
Yeah, they're not... Ooh,
nice
shards. AQ getting caught out. Wild Axe is flying out. XM. Inkswell going to be there, but you've got XM just slowing down this DK. He goes down and more Plague Wards to be thrown out. In fact, never mind that. Faith, he's being caught by SRF, and they do pay them back. Ame gets a double on the troll. And let me just add on to that, John. XM's build, the Spirit Vessel coming out, this DK is going to... He's going to melt once that Spirit Vessel's up.
Yeah, there's nothing here from Newbee to even help him out. There's no dispels here, nothing in terms of sustain, so he's just gonna have to really ride through a very rough time until he finds BKB. He is queuing up the Shadow Blade first to give himself some more utility, some more ways of finding pickoffs. But I think CDEC's set themselves up quite nicely. They're super aggressive in the map. Even Ame is comfy enough to start walking around. He's building towards a Battle Fury, which I tend to be against, but he's had basically free farm, so the timing on it is going to be really, really good. And as long as it's pretty darn good, of course the Troll can maximize that in his jungle rotations.
Well, SRF top lane has to be careful. He was trying to defend that T1 top. It is going to cost him his life, or maybe it won't. He fireflies with the trees.
Ooh.
Mugi actually got blocked out by YG's Fisher. They do find him in the end, but SRF still has the Firefly going for a little bit more. Do they have enough to disable? They do. But that was a lot of time. That's a lot of time where that mid lane is slowly being pushed in, and even Ame at the bot lane going to start forcing the tier 2 in, and Newbee, they don't sound happy about it.
I don't think that's worth the commitment. Like, the Batrider was really doing nothing. They don't even manage to find that tower. Like, they're chipping away at it. They're going to keep their heroes around, but you're going to be losing some HP on 2 of your own towers. And Wizard trying to fight Ame doesn't seem like the best of ideas when you don't have that Rolling Thunder.
Yeah. Top lane could be a big engagement here from CDEC. YG going to get spotted here by James, and tag teams turned on with the Walrus Punch. YG fishes, but he is already trapped and he will have to die. Yeah, you found the tier 1 tower, but you've lost 3 of your own. It's, you know, Dota's all about trades, and Newbee has not been trading well. So Ame is still freely farming the bot lane and forcing it in with that siege creep.
Has to be a bit careful though. There's a smoke rotation coming in from Newbee.
Yeah, but he times the retreat
back
well.
off.
Or does he? Doesn't have mana for the battle trance. His magic wand's in the... okay, he takes it out of the backpack. Inkswell? No, not going to lead to anything. Mugi, he was just went back to farming.
A bit late with that punishment. Again, Ame's just been given so much space here from CDEC's movement, and he's been allowed to get away with it. Like, he's 2 parts away, basically just a perseverance away from his Battle Fury. So once that's up and running, he's going to really outfarm everyone. Sure, that means that CDEC's probably not going to be fighting with a troll anytime soon. I don't think that's been a massive issue for them anyway. One of the things for Newbee right now is that Mugi has gotten some space. I think he's been reacting a bit too much to the movements of CDEC. They haven't given the Gyrocopter nearly as much space as the Troll has in this case, but Mugi is going for a faster build. He's going for the drums first. I think that's going to allow this team to start applying some presence back to CDEC when the fight breaks out. They're going to have a numbers advantage, mainly because the Troll's not going to be there, although you would still want a couple more items. I think AQ's buildup is the one that's really going to be going painfully slow. Going for the SNY first, just for that added durability and damage, and it's not going fast enough. His farm has dwindled. Really, just even below the Pangolier right now, not where you want the DK to be.
Yeah, when you look at XM, he's already got the vessel up. They did smoke within vision though, like it was a bit of a preemptive smoke coming out from CDEC. And so James, he wanted to rotate bot to try and go after Mugi, but he's already out of there. And now Newbee, they start grouping up mid. XM slowly just pushing into tier 1 with Plague Wards. I think they could really go for an easy team fight here if you're CDEC, and they start moving forward onto Wizard. They just need somebody to catch. And they are definitely going down. But if you are left to just take a tier 1 mid tower for free, you just take it. Like, there's no reason to try and force a fight if you could just take a tower for for nothing. No defense.
Yeah. Ami just takes it for the team. Newbee very hesitant to try to fight. I don't blame them. They don't have any tools to really get going. I mean, they have the drums finally up in Mugi, but that's not going to be enough. Again, your DK is still basically naked right now. Just power treads and 2 bracers, which is, again, still pretty darn slow.
Oh, I see.
And
SRF is not stopping the chase, to be fair. Homing missile going to fly out. He committed Echo to try and run away, and if it leads to the SRF kill, it may be considered worth. SRF trying to juke this out, but Wizard eventually finds it, and now the cooldown will come through, and they do get the kill. Had SRF just left after the Echo was committed, he would have lived, and you wouldn't have had to worry about the Echo. But more space to be made for CDEC.
Yeah, they're just going to make use of that. They have kind of maximized every single sacrifice SRF has made. It usually ends up with Newbee overcommitting, and again, that was, what, 3 heroes up top? They tried to chase that Bat Rider. So, more space in the map, slowly still building up in that lead. Battle Fury up and running on Ame, working towards his Yasha next. And with this Battle Fury, it's going to be very easy to shove out the lanes and clear out the camps.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, he'll again start pressuring that bottom tier 2 tower. I believe there is a siege creep on the way, and yet there it is. So CDEC just setting up to try and force this in. Glyph is used pretty early on. There's a siege creep coming. Newbee would know it. Maybe they try to go for a team fight here up against Arme and just take a free, well, not a free troll kill, but try to take a kill. But you see CDEC, they're set up. They've TP'd in the SRF. Victoria's waiting. The Tusk is waiting in the back. Newbee, they're going to try and fight, but SRF does scout him out. Gets a lasso off on the Earthshaker, and that's a great way to start if YG goes down, but he doesn't yet. Wizard, Rolling Thunder just bouncing around, but Arme's still alive with the Battle Trance available if he wants to pop it. He won't yet, but the call down. Now there's the Battle Trance coming out with the ensnares on Mugi.
Oh,
do they have the control for this troll? It looks like they do. He will go down. And so Newbee do push this back. Wizard's still going to be in a bit of trouble, but I think CDEC's overextended. They keep going. They fought... Where was XM? Who was he going after?
He was split off, I think. They were set up for that fight. It looked pretty nice when SRF got that initial lasso. One big factor was that Victoria did not get the false promise. He saved it for himself. He wasn't in range. I don't think they were completely set up for that fight. They get punished hard, and Newbee can be very happy with that bounce back, not really sacrificing anything for that exchange.
Well, it looks like XM actually ended up managing to find the DK by himself and took that kill. You would have liked to see the Poison Nova hit onto the side of Newbee, like they were very grouped up. But he kind of secured the DK kill instead by himself, assuming his team was going to be able to just finish off the rest. It's a bit unfortunate for CDEC, and Newbee going to be very satisfied with how that fight went. I think CDEC... may realize like that you need the BKB on the troll. You can't. I don't think you can fight with 100% certainty that you're gonna win without that BKB.
The BKB would be very helpful. I think the key thing is to have Victoria really on standby properly. He was just kind of spaced too far out, fearing the Shaker and perhaps a bad clump up result from the Rolling Thunder. But so far, like, the Fissure has been interrupting that Rolling Thunder pretty badly for the side of Newbee. It leads to pretty messy initiations for Newbee, and that's something CDEC can play around quite nicely, but they will kind of slow the pace down. They're going to wait for Ame to perhaps finish that Yasha into whatever he builds up, perhaps the SNY. If not, maybe might go for like a, I don't know, a Heaven's Halberd, although that does sound pretty early and preemptive. There's doesn't seem to be any real need for it just yet.
Well, AQ for now is set up with the SNY and the DK. CDEC. Poison Nova's back up, and they could definitely just try and force in the tier 2 bottom tower again. Had that Poison Nova hit the whole side of Newbee, or even a couple people, it would have been a completely different team fight. In fact, now it does, because he has to. No, it only hits Fade. Yeah, he's caught out of position. That's just XM. They really want that tier 2 bot, and I appreciate that, but they're going to get picked off one by one here by Newbee. Considering the start they had, they've just thrown away so much. And James, you talked about that Fissure kind of screwing over Wizard. Well, there we see it again.
But CDEC is just bleeding so much space with their forced movement here. Like, they are feeling confident enough to play in that enemy jungle. There are some pretty decent wards now from Newbee to spot them out. They haven't gotten the D wards off, and they have bled some space away. It's just a 2k advantage for CDEC, and with this opportunity, Newbee can try to pressure that tier 1, although not quite enough. And this is giving space for Ame. Does feel like CDEC is prioritizing that. You take a look at Ame now, does have the Yasha, building into his own SNY, into the Satanic, so doesn't look like we're going to be seeing a BKB for him anytime soon.
Pops the Battle Trance, just for the solo kill into Faith. Fair enough. Meanwhile, YG goes down to Victoria, so the Oracle finds a kill. Yeah, I guess if you're Ame, like, you don't care about putting that Battle Trance on cooldown, because you're not going to fight anyway for a while. But, okay, see, why even do that? Like, now you don't have Battle Trance. Do you have TPs? Well, it looks like he's trying to bait for SRF, but he's going to die for that.
That's really
It's
not
just
how
a
you'd want
confusing
that.
play. I'm kind of confused by that, because you've already lost the bounty.
I know.
I'm sure he had his
was-
reasons behind it, but
He could have just walked the other way.
they scanned
I
it
know,
out as well. They knew they were there.
He's playing really greedy. I think he just wanted to get as much value as possible and kind of pays with his life. Although James Invis, don't think that's the kill on the DK.
Oh, they could with the Venomancer, but they're going to go after Faith instead. Much easier kill, but again, where's the backup? What happened to the Veno TP? XM, it got cancelled off. They do still find Faith. So it was a Fissure from YG that cancelled the TP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just a long-range Fissure. And unfortunately for XM, doesn't manage to go into help in time. They still find a support for support trade, but they don't find the DK that they'd want. And CDEC has lost that lead. It's down to a 1k advantage. Newbee has managed to play catch-up. Really good farm distribution so far on all of their cores. Even our DK just in a pretty reasonable spot now. And you see AQ queuing up that BKB. This is going to be pivotal. You're going to lose out on a lot of your damage on XM with that BKB coming out. You're going to have to rely on SRF's lasso to really catch out that DK before the BKB flies out. And there's just so many high priority targets that I'm not sure if that's really what they want to go for, lassoing the DK. They don't have the best burst to burn through him at the moment, and that will just kind of get worse as take a look at our Pangolier. He's pretty close to finishing up that pipe as well.
He is. Been working on it after that Vladimir's offering, and well, we have a smoke on smoke situation. Ame's going to pop the smoke. of YG, and they just blink out. The ES, of course, picking up his own blink now. SRF, Firefly, trying to give vision. Arme spots them. So one problem with this draft, if SRF isn't the one finding the lasso, you don't have a way to start it. You don't really want it to be Arme to start the fight on the troll. So, he's the main guy you want to keep alive throughout all this.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky for CDEC to force these fights. I think one thing they're looking for is perhaps James Blink. He does have it queued up, so you're gonna have a lot more options to start these fights once that Tusk does have the blink. But with all that movement around, Newbee just decides to sneak into the Roche. It is being pinged out, but I don't think CDEC themselves are aware. It's just Newbee kind of trying to be cautious.
They probably should be aware, John. Their tier 1 tower just went down. They smoke up. They do know. Roshan getting low. Nice flame break, knocking everyone out. SRF jumps in. Lasso is gonna be there, but false promise. No, he didn't actually lasso yet. He has been false promise. He's alive. Who do you want to go for, though, with the lasso? He doesn't opt to go for anyone yet. Meanwhile, Moogie does finish off SRF, but YG is falling low. So they also find AQ. The Aegis has been taken by Arme. He took care of the Roshan. Now going after Faith on the Grimstroke. They take him out as well. Wizard, can you TP out? You can. So, CDEC, great team fight for them. It was just a very awkward team fight for Newbee as they just...
Radiant's top tower
It looked bad at the start when they were about to lose SRF. He didn't even commit lasso, by the way. He just held on to it.
Yeah, it's down to Victoria actually being able to use that false promise. Bought enough time, and Newbee was pretty rattled from that. You have to remember that flame break, shoving the Gyrocopter out was pretty big. You know, shoving 2 out of 3 of those heroes out of the pit into the edges, making it hard for them to come back in. Bought enough time for CDEC to get their positioning in place and really force the fight onto Newbee. They miss out on a pretty big objective. They do still have a couple of things to wait for. They were fighting without the BKB of AQ. It's still going to be a long time, but I think once you have that tool up and running, it's going to be a better fight. You've got the pipe now in Wizard, so you've got a lot more durability the next time you do engage. Just a lot of tools just slightly missing there for Newbee to really turn the tides.
Well, they are really going anti-DK on XM right now. He's got the Solar Crest plus the IF Skadi queued up on this Venom. We did see this. It was a bit of a meme when this new patch came out. Where if you get the Spirit Vessel plus IF Skadi plus a Veno, it was minus regen. So it is purely anti-AQ, and I guess anti-Moogie if you count lifesteal. Bot lane, Fisher. Oh, it's a bit early. Now they're going to make a chase shot. It's going to fly out. Faith getting caught. Snowball should reach in time and does. Poor old Faith going to have to take the death.
That was pretty funny to watch. I'm not sure if you caught it, but XM was standing right in front of Wizard. And Wizard didn't have Rolling Thunder, so XM just took the longest TP in the world down to that outpost for the kill. It was so long. There were so many pings from Wizard to just say, hey, I want him dead. Yeah, he didn't have backup. Just kind of sad.
Oh, mid lane, nice lasso coming out into AQ. Where's the Veno? He's nowhere to be seen. He's down a bot lane right now, so they don't really have what it takes to kill AQ, but they could always go after Wizard instead. And it looks like he has Swashbuckle, but he can't commit it through those ensnares. Fisher, no, it won't be enough. Victoria will have the Purifying Flames. And I'm just kind of intrigued because seeing it keep going without XM into these team fights. Had you had the Veno there, that DK was 100% dead. But they still have a chance.
And they're applying really good pressure across 2 lanes, although you do finally see XM work his way down mid.
I guess they just wanted the bot tier 2 as well. Like, it was so low anyway.
Dire's top tower is under
You may as well.
Yeah, they've been throwing their bodies at that tier 2 for a very long time. I'm sure they're just happy to take it out. I think they're going to be setting their sights onto that tier 2 up top next. Want to really clear out this entire map before going into the high ground.
YG just doing a bit of a dance behind the trees right now. Mugi's trying to get to that satanic state on his gyrocopter, but just feels like he's lacking damage.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's contributing enough in the middle of the fight. I think it's really down more to YC trying to find that initiation. That's going to be the key part for Newbee's plan. They've got the blink and the shaker. They're working slowly towards the Ags and the shaker as well. So once YC has those tools, it's going to be much easier to counterfight into CDEC. But CDEC is already playing a bit forward, trying to find something with their smoke.
SRF. Lasso. Oh, Fisher's going to be there, but he already blinked. And they found the main target, Mugi, but they don't make the jump. Soulbind, a bit too threatening for them apparently, is Mugi. His BKB is about to wear off. In fact, it was never used. Now he does use it up. And so, Arme has the Aegis, going to start moving forward, but no, they don't really have a target they want. Instead, they may settle for Wizard. YG, Echo committed. He does catch two of them with the Fisher. It's a lot of damage, but XM, he gets the false promise, commits the Poison Nova. They'll stun. AQ's falling low. They do also commit Battle Trance, and YG does die. XM, meanwhile, does survive through the false promise, and now Wizard has been caught out. YG coming back in, but you don't really have much to throw out here, and he held onto the Fisher a bit too long. Even Mugi falling very low in his own base. CDEC. Just a powerhouse, and there is literally zero buybacks on the map. The only one to just come up is Victoria on the Oracle. That is not going to help Newbee.
Yeah, it looked a bit iffy when YC didn't manage to burst anyone big. He really just fell apart from there. Really good space for CDEC to miss out on that shaker slam, and without that slam, there's just no defense that you can expect from Newbee.
It was a good start. It just wasn't enough. That false promise from Victoria just so well done. Now they go for the last outer tower. Roshan probably be up in a couple minutes.
I mean, it was a really good opportunity to try to kill Ame as well. His Aegis expired right at the end of the fight. Just couldn't find him. Faith.
Oh,
Gone.
Faith. Top lane now without Faith up. They know he doesn't have buyback available, so they're just going to start moving towards that tier 3 tower. 30-minute down here into... I thought Wizard said that in all chat. Newbee, I don't know, by the chat they've been having within their team, they don't sound very happy right now.
No.
So Fisher comes out.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah. Nah. Nah. Nah.
Like, you know,
there are no words for that.
You jinxed it, John. You said at the start of the game that YG was ruining Wizard's day with these fishes, and poor old Wizard, he is it is now really happening.
I mean, it's been happening for a while. Like, he gets the Rolling Thunder off, the Fissure blocks him from getting the bounces. And yeah, there you go. So Wizard trying to change his tune. Some PMA. Get that team spirited up. You know, it's hard though to bounce back from this. 14k deficit, 16 to 20. You've lost your mid melee racks, and wow, Ame is just so brave, just walking around. He does have a basher. He has the satanic, pretty much set to just do whatever he really wants here on the troll, and you can't say the same thing about Newbee, right? We've been sitting on just the BKB Ags on Mugi for a while. It hasn't been to great effect. You have had AQ's BKB, so he has a 10-second charge that they could try to surprise onto CDEC.
Oh, they're gonna try. Fisher gonna be there. That's the one target they need to get first, and it is Victoria. Now, if they can find Arme or SRF, but more particularly Arme, this would be a successful smoke gank, and they do get him with the Rolling Thunder, but no, that'll be it. The buyback is there from Victoria. They want to fight now. They start moving up CDEC. They can't lose Victoria again like this, but he's being jumped on. He's falling low. They get a last off, but what an echo coming out from YG. He hits onto all of them, but there's no damage. XM commits the Poison Nova, and well, there goes YG. There goes Wizard on the Pangolier, and AQ trying to TP out, but the Walrus Punch comes just in the nick of time.
Under attack.
That was the best echo you could have asked for. It just
No
It was
follow-up.
pretty good, but there really was just no follow-up to it. Just no damage.
They're not set up. There
There
you
it
go.
is.
They finally
Yeah,
they
they've had
actually
enough.
tap out. Yeah, I don't blame them. It was not quite the ideal game for Newbee. I think this time around they did run a better draft than game one, so they didn't have issues with playing around cooldowns, didn't have issues too much with timing. It was down to the fact that they couldn't take any fights. I think the execution of this draft up against what CDEC had in mind, it just didn't work out. And it's a bit unfortunate, but that is their debut. CDEC finally netting their first series win, right? If I recall
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the first win. That was the second series of the league, and it is going to be their first win. Unfortunately for Newbee, not the greatest debut you would have liked to see for the league, but they have plenty of weeks and plenty of games to go, so plenty of time to catch up in terms of scores. Still, John, that is it for us tonight. You got any parting words before we back out? We log off, get out, go
Hopefully,
to bed, go to dinner.
Hopefully everyone did have fun. Of course, if you did enjoy, me and Mike are on Twitter if you want to follow us at MLP Dota and at johnxfire. Otherwise, that's really going to be it for tonight. I don't believe we're going to be back for tomorrow, but there are still more games on this channel at around the same time, so the league will go on. Just drop by in to see what's happening in Chinese Dota.
Thank you for that, John, and thank you to the viewers for watching. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see you guys next time.